Look at both of us in hotel rooms, on the road. Still putting in the time here for the walk-off.
Look at us go.
Yes, sir. I am in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. I had a show for St. Patty's Day last night, so was drinking green beer and telling jokes up in northern Sask, so that's good times.
And I'm not working. I am in Canal Flats, BC for a hockey tournament with my kid, but sometime dad duty calls, right? So
Team building.
Team building.
That's right.
Team building.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to the Walk-Off. I'm Scott Belford, joined, as always, by Adam Mack, the best co-host in the biz, baby. We had a really big week here, actually. We just yesterday released our interview with Robert DiBernardo, who is the head of the mental performance department with the Toronto Blue Jays, and that is an interview that I've literally been getting DMs from people on Twitter being like, that is one of the best interviews you guys have done. He is so well-spoken, so interesting, just an entertaining listen. And it really is not baseball-focused. It's much more sports psychology, I guess is how you would put it. Life. Yeah. Like when he started talking about helping these guys transition from being prospects who never quite made it into the real world. Mm-hmm. Like really eye-opening.
Transitioning into life after ball.
Exactly. How much
Very cool.
thought goes into it and that they actually do worry about this with these kids. And it was good to listen to. That's up on our YouTube right now. It's also on our audio side of things, which, by the way, our audio side of things continues to grow substantially. So big thank yous to everyone on their Google or Apple, Spotify, wherever you're getting your podcast. We do appreciate the hit and subscribe button and all the listens. It's great. Next week we do have Samad Taylor, who we sat down with last week and chatted with, so we're going to release his episode shortly. He was really fun to talk to. And then Long Toss, just a heads up, everybody, we did wish to make sure to tease this. So Long Toss, we've got some great guests. Jen Smith, formerly of Locked On Jays Pod, is going to join us. We've got, of course, our regulars, Craig and Joel, are going to be here. Hey, Kami from TikTok. And then, fingers crossed, and we are going to tease it. Now, from the 40-man roster, Hagen Danner, Haggy D, looks like he's going to join us on Monday. If he doesn't pitch, and he still, I was chatting with him on Instagram yesterday, and he was mentioning that he still doesn't know. They should know by Sunday, so if he's slated to pitch, he's out. If he's not, that's a win for the Long Toss walk-off. But here's the thing. The Long Toss is going to be Monday, not Sunday. Normally we do it Sunday, 6 to 8 Eastern time, so we're going to be doing that on Monday. One last little housekeeping thing. We have just started up our Patreon about 10 days ago. We had a couple new members join. So, Adam, if you want to give a little shout out here to our new Patreon members.
Oh, you want me to have names pulled up, and now I don't have names ready. I know. Shit. You know what? I know it. Here we go. We've got Mustard Tiger. We've got SCTI. We've got Yushi. And we've got Jeremy V. There. That's all off memory because I appreciate everyone so much. So, very cool.
Yes, Yushi just joined, and that was our new addition. So thank you very much to that. You can, of course, get your Patreon. That is a link in our show notes that you can click. You're going to get with that our movie reviews. We do a monthly movie review. But here's the thing, and Adam, baseball movie reviews. And Adam, I did want to bring this up because everyone I bring this up to is saying that we're doing Patreon wrong. We're doing it wrong. But you and I talked about this. We don't want to put any Blue Jays related stuff behind a paywall. So yes, we're doing it wrong. However, if you do appreciate the work and effort we're putting in, and even if you're not all that interested in the the baseball movie reviews, we do appreciate if you wanted to throw us $4 a month. That's awesome. Obviously, no pressure. We'll never put actual Blue Jays content behind a paywall.
Right.
But,
everyone we've spoken to is like, no. Put like the first 15 minutes of your interview out on YouTube for free, and then put the rest on Patreon. Like, we're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. Even Long Toss, I was told, you should just do the whole Long Toss as an extra thing. And we're like, no, absolutely not.
Stop it.
Yeah.
All right.
We also have one last thing here. Our fantasy league, we are going to be running a walk-off fantasy league this year. That is going to be given. We're not sure exactly how many teams we're going to do. Priority is going to be given to Patreon, so I guess that is one thing we're going to do for our Patreon.
So you and I will have a team in the league. Joel and Craig, friends of the show, will have a team in the league. And then beyond that, first dibs will go to Patreon members. So currently we have 4 Patreon. They're all interested in the league, so that brings us to 8 teams. If we go to 12 and we have 7 people who are interested in a team, otherwise we'll just have to put all 7 teams into a draw and pick out 4 and go from there. I guess I should
You
just
could
clarify.
also join.
Sorry, can I just clarify one thing with with the Patreon getting first dibs is if all of a sudden people want to spend $4 to get into the fantasy league, and then we have 30 people, it's still going to be a draw of the Patreon. So I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to get in a situation where people are feeling ripped off. Like the only reason I joined Patreon was to play in this fantasy league. So technically, it doesn't guarantee you a spot if we had a absurd influx of Patreon signups. So I'm not too worried about that happening, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Discord is also a great place to be right now. I think we've broken 100 people in there. We've been gaining members constantly, and it is the most fun app going right now in my life, to the point where my wife is literally like, will you turn notifications off at 8? Like, I'm tired of hearing your phone going off over friggin',
the same way.
Over some video posted that I'm like, I gotta watch this right now. This is an update on what Matt Chapman's gonna do for the Jays. Like,
well, it's fun too, because like, I don't know, I'm sure you're the same way you run the Twitter, but with like on Instagram, I get multiple DMs a day from various people, either sharing a link to this or asking my thoughts on that, and not in like a hey, you're bothering me way, but I'm like, hey, you should come join the Discord, because then you can share that and we can all enjoy it, right? Like, so
yes, exactly.
It is a good time.
Okay, let's get into it, because we do have a big show here today. We are going to talk, of course, the Toronto Blue Jays' new third baseman. And what does this mean? Matt Chapman's arrival in camp for outside forces. And by that, I mean other players on this team, because yes, it shores up third base, but this is going to improve the team in a lot of different facets. We'll get into that. Blue Jays are not done yet either. These rumors about Jose Ramirez refuse to go away, so we will update where those talks are at and what Carlos Barga is doing to Blue Jays Nation. Bittersweet seeing friends of the show, Zach Logue and Kirby Sneed, go. We'll briefly talk the Jays that went to Oakland in that Chapman acquisition. Chris Bryant gets a huge deal with, of all teams, the Rockies. Yeah. And Freeman goes west, so we'll touch on that. And Joey Gallo slander, not tolerated by Gen Zers. I will tell you about what that is all about and what an odd hill that is to die on, all coming up in the show. That's right, Adam. Rub your face. It got crazy on my end.
Jeez, Joey Gallo supporters, eh?
Yeah. So let's talk it. Matt Chapman. He comes north Wednesday morning. We all wake up to my favorite thing in the world, which is big Blue Jays news. And they wound up upgrading that third base position after all. I know there was all the talk of Freeman and are they going to move Vladdy and what's going on. Instead, they went a much more traditional route and probably a better route for the defensive side of things. He's exceptional in all facets. Like, Matt Chapman is a real stud, but honestly, it's his defensive metrics that are, man, they're phenomenal. Like, they are insane. And listen, Marcus Semien, Gold Glover at second base. And technically, that is who Chapman is going to be replacing here, is Marcus Semien's bat and his positional.
Yep.
Now, a second base Gold Glover is phenomenal, but third base is such a premium position, the hot corner. So if you're getting a Gold Glover at the third base position, I feel like that's a slight step up from a Gold Glove at the second base position.
Yeah,
I think it's going to do more for the team
it's
too.
Like shortstop, third base, second base, first base in terms of what I would value a Gold Glove. In terms of like difficulty and value to the team.
So let's start with where we were at in 2021 for third baseman. And I know you've pulled up the errors that have occurred at third base. And let's face it, last year it was not pretty at that third base position.
So we had 7 different players suit up at third base last year. Kevin Biggio for 52 games, Espinal for 81, Vlad made an appearance once, Jake Lamb for 10, Joe Panik 21, Kevin Smith for 14, Breivik Valera for 21. They combined for 20 errors at third base last year. And honestly, I'm high on Vladdy defensively as a first baseman. I was kind of starting the hype train by mid-season last year that I think Vladdy is not necessarily a Gold Glove winner last year, but that I think that's
the potential is there. Yes.
He was really bailing our guys out on a lot of throws. So if we take 20 errors from third base and then we counted all the balls that were ugly and in the dirt or way offline that Vladdy still got his glove on and prevented an error from technically being scored, that number's way bigger. Like, it is 20.
Exactly.
But it's probably in the 30s, at least, if Vladdy wasn't doing such a bang-up job at first. In my opinion. I don't know.
No, you are dead on. And listen, Matt Chapman had 5 errors in the entire season last year. So just him being at the hot corner, you're literally decreasing your errors by 75%. Think about what a massive number that is. And on top of that, Matt Chapman is an elite defensive third baseman. So on top of the lack of errors he's making, he's also making plays that other third basemen just wouldn't make, but wouldn't count as an error, right? Yeah. So, I mean, the defensive metrics on this dude is incredible, and you got to believe.
Sorry. Just to clarify for anybody who's not quite sure what that sentence means, you mean like hard hit ball down the left field line, Kevin Biggio dives for it, doesn't get to it. That's not an error.
Yeah, that's not an error.
But that's something that you're saying Chapman is. That's a difference maker that Chapman is making. That not an error.
So Matt Chapman.
That ball.
Matt Chapman gets to more balls than almost any other third baseman in the major leagues right now. And on top of that, Matt Chapman plays very deep for a third baseman and yet makes up a lot of ground when there's a soft hit liner on the left-hand side of the field, getting to balls that, again, most other third basemen wouldn't do. The truth is, man, when Hyun-Jin Ryu heard this news, he had to have double fist pumped.
He's like, there had to have been a Tiger
again. Woods little, yes, there we go. And that's the truth. Listen, I know this may seem crazy to some Blue Jays fans, but I really do think that the person that this is going to help the most on this team is Ryu. This is an elite pitcher. This is a guy who got Cy Young votes in 2019 and 2020. Yes, he had a rough year last year for a few reasons. He went through some injury problems. He had some mental hurdles that a lot of other guys weren't needing to deal with. And when I say that, his wife and his newborn child were in Korea and not able to come because of COVID and all the restrictions. So he's dealing with that, a new baby girl in his life, and he's got a Zoom. He can't even see her. So, of course, that's going to wear on him. But on top of that, this is a guy who induces more ground balls to the left-hand side than any pitcher on this team, bottom line. And he's a ground ball pitcher. You put a vacuum at third base, of course, this is going to do nothing but help Hyun-Jin Ryu and his numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is going to help Kikuchi as well, who's also a lefty, but he doesn't induce the ground balls quite like Ryu does. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something that we haven't seen as Blue Jays fans in some time. Probably since Bringer of Rain, where we saw a third baseman that made defensive plays that could change the direction of a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited, man. This is a heck of a move, in my opinion. And they really didn't give up all that much. And we talked about this. Listen, and this is a little bittersweet. And I mean this with the utmost respect to friends of the show, Kirby Sneed and Zach Logue. I mean this with the utmost respect to Kevin Smith. But really, the only high-ceiling guy the Blue Jays gave up was Gunnar Hoagland, who is still recovering from Tommy John surgery. And
was
we've
last
talked
year's
about
first round
this.
draft pick, right?
He was last year's first-round draft pick, but you and I have talked about this off camera, and that is how impressed we have been with Ricky Tiedemann
Yes.
and Irv Carter, who have moved up the rankings of Blue Jays pitchers in the last 6 months to a year. And I think that their improvement really allowed the Blue Jays to move on from Gunnar Hoagland and expect these two guys to be where he was as when he comes back from injury. Maybe not quite, because Hoagland does have a high ceiling, but I think that there has been progress in the pitching prospect side of things for the Blue Jays. In fact, even guys like friend of the show, Sam Roberts, has moved up those prospect rankings fairly highly, and he should even get a start in Double-A this year. Roberts, that is. So watching these other guys improve, I think, gave an opportunity for Atkins and Shapiro to move on from their number one draft pick from last year.
Yeah, big time. I used the term in the reaction video I did, relatively free, and that feels like such a slight to the prospects that we did send that way, and I don't mean it like that. Of course, way better at baseball than I am, okay? But, I mean, when you look at the prospect capital that we spent on Jose Barrios last year, right? And if you look at the speculated price tag on Jose Ramirez, relative to that, this move cost
very little.
Very little.
And Matt Chapman's under contract for the next 2 years. He's going to make about $9.5 million this year on arbitration, and then another year of arbitration next year, which projected, let's face it, if he provides the offense we're hoping and the defense we're hoping and becomes that 5 wins above replacement player again, like he was in 2019 and 2020, I think he's probably going to get about $15 million next year.
That's what I was
Still,
expecting
just a heck of a deal. And listen, honestly, I was on Instagram last night messaging with Kirby Sneed and Zach Logan. Both of them were like, just a big thank you to all the Blue Jays fans. Both of them were like, we loved the organization and that this is still a shock to us and it still hurts. But I think this is going to be great for Zach Logue in particular. Listen, the Athletics have already moved Bassett. Chris Bassett went to the Mets. I think they're going to move Montes. They're going to move Manea. There is going to be some openings in this starting rotation, and Zach Logue is going to be able to step right in. Good lefty. This kid is going to get his MLB debut this year, and forget that, I bet he makes the team in Oakland out of spring training. And let's face it, a pretty cavernous stadium there in Oakland. This is going to be nothing but good news for
pitcher friendly.
Very pitcher friendly. And we can flip that on the other side here, Adam, too. And I know you did your video on this, on the Matt Chapman acquisition on Wednesday, and you did a great job. And one of the things you brought up is that we can very well expect an increase in Chapman's offensive ability because he's coming to the AL East. Like, let's face it, he played 81 games last year in Oakland. Probably the least hitter-friendly park in all of baseball. The AL West is filled with pitcher-friendly parks. And he's playing about 40 more games on that. So almost 3/4 of his season was played last year in parks that are good for pitchers. Coming to the AL East, it is the literal complete opposite. He hit 27 bombs last year. He's going to break 30. And like you said, he could very well push 40.
You know what? Here's Matt Chapman's stats at the Rogers Center. 250 career batting average, 368 on-base percentage, and a 931 career OPS at the Rogers Center. So,
give that to me all day long.
Give that to me all day long. Just for fun, home run speculation on Matt Chapman. Are you expecting 30? Are you expecting 25? Where do you land on this? Because I know I'm
predicting 33 home runs from Matt
33.
Chapman.
Okay. So not a career year in
the
terms of home
hole.
runs, but 33 out of the 6 hole. Can't complain there at all.
No. Right?
One thing I think
another thing that we didn't sorry, you were probably just going to mention this. Just more
No,
protection
yeah.
in the lineup than they did
Yeah,
in Oakland.
having power behind Vladdy just means more good pitches for Vladdy. So, that's one thing with we compared the Simeon replacement at second base with Chapman at third, right? And we're moving our Gold Glove from second base to the hot corner. We're also moving that 40 plus home run potential, and let's just call it that, right? We're moving that from the leadoff spot or the number 2 spot ahead of Vladdy, and we're putting it behind Vladdy. So it means they're going to have to pitch to Vladdy just a little bit more. I mean, people are still going to be afraid of him, let's be honest. But
this lineup is insane.
it's pretty.
And when they acquired Chapman, I think Blue Jays Nation had just like a big sigh of relief of like, okay, they're doing it. They're going in.
Yep.
And the next couple years are going to be a fun couple years. And as if that wasn't enough, all of a sudden, Carlos Barga, right? He loves to rile up Blue Jays fans. He can't help himself.
Yeah.
He's getting us in a position ready to riot, because he keeps dropping a name that has been tied to this Toronto Blue Jays organization for 18 months, maybe even longer. Of course, we all know we're talking about J-Ram, Jose Ramirez, considered maybe the number 1 third baseman in all of baseball. And Carlos comes out on Instagram Live in November teasing that he thinks that the Blue Jays are going to make a move for Ramirez. Things go quiet. Then he teases Freddie Freeman. Lockout ends. He's pushing Freeman. That didn't happen. Yimi Garcia did happen. Simeon did happen when he did it, when he teased him. So obviously Barga has some sources inside the Blue Jays organization. I think that goes without say at this point. I know just yesterday he was back on Instagram Live stating that the front office in Toronto is still pushing hard for Ramirez and that they want him to play second base, which, man, if you add Jose Ramirez, all of a sudden this team, player for player, lines up with the Dodgers. It's crazy what Ramirez would do to this lineup.
Yeah.
Rumors are the Guardians want 2 major leaguers heading back that way. So some of the packages that have been thrown out there that I've heard is whispers of Alejandro Kirk, Kevin Biggio, Gabriel Moreno, and Aroldis Martinez. And I know there's a few other options being floated, but I mean, at this point, when you look at this Blue Jays lineup, is there a price too steep?
Would I pay that price? Martinez, Moreno, Kirk, and Biggio. I feel like if we're bringing Jose Ramirez in to play second base, Biggio is the no-brainer major league piece that gets attached to that trade. Kirk and Moreno, I'm not thrilled about.
Yeah.
Just because there are 2, like, quote-unquote, high upside catchers.
Yes.
Either or, though. Like, if it was, you take Kirk out and you throw in a pitching prospect, or you take Moreno out and you throw up a higher pitching prospect, I'd be more inclined to say yes. I am a little bit gun-shy on the idea of selling both high upside catching prospects. Otherwise, I mean, at this point, it's pretty exciting to think about. I can't lie.
It is pretty exciting to think about, and the truth is you're probably right. The Blue Jays can probably negotiate their way out of giving up 2 high-end catching prospects. I know that it has already been reported by Kevin Barker and Jeff Blair of Sportsnet that they have seen Guardian scouts at Toronto's spring training facility following Alejandro Kirk around, videotaping him. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean or equate directly into a Jose Ramirez trade. It could just mean, I mean, if the Guardians are moving pieces, maybe there's more pieces involved. Shane Bieber is out there. I mean, I don't know if we need another starting pitcher, but I mean, you can't have enough of them. Very interesting stuff anyways. And I mean, obviously the speculation amongst Blue Jays fans online is just total chaos right now, and it's been a ton of fun.
Exhausting to keep
if
up
you were
with.
Yesterday, I should say, or maybe it was Wednesday night. It was Wednesday night that Barga came out and said that he thinks that there's an 85% chance that before the start of the opening day, the start of the season, that Jose Ramirez will be a Toronto Blue Jays. I know neither of us are near as well as connected as Carlos Barga. However, if you had to put a number, do you think that it is actually over 50% that the Blue Jays wind up with Jose Ramirez?
For April 1st opening day, I would say 15%.
April 8th, but yes.
Sorry, April 8th.
Okay.
Right. I would say less likely. Now, if we were to extend that date for that speculation, we made that August 8th. I know that the trade deadline, I believe, is July 27th this year. Don't quote me on that, but it's the end of July. If we have Jose Ramirez by the trade deadline, I would say 45 to 55%. I feel like it's a coin toss.
And this is really interesting because there has been so much smoke around this Jose Ramirez acquisition from the Blue Jays for so long that you gotta think about that saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's obviously interest on the Blue Jays' part, and I think the holdup is the Guardians are kind of in this weird position where they're like, can we get enough for Jose to make a trade palatable to the fan base in Cleveland? Because
can I throw in one factor in, I think, the Guardians making a trade or being more inclined to make a trade?
Yes.
Part of the CBA agreement was they agreed with a little bit of an asterisk to the CBA, and it's related to qualifying offers and the international draft. So that's one problem that isn't quite resolved yet, but they have a, I guess, drop-dead deadline that they have both agreed to. So they're still working on terms for an international draft, but there is a deadline of July 25th in which, if the players agree to a international draft, then the owners will eliminate compensatory picks and qualifying offers.
Right.
But if they don't agree to an international draft, then it defaults to what it was before, right? So in free agency, you have a team coming up, or a guy coming up for free agency, just like we did with Marcus Semien and Robbie Ray last year. You extend the qualifying offer. If they sign with another team, multi-year deal, etc., at least you're recouping a compensatory draft pick in the next draft. If there's an international draft, that doesn't happen anymore. So I think if that gets agreed to, I think that works in the Blue Jays' favor, because now all of a sudden Cleveland is going, if we can't sign him long term, we won't even get nothing.
Yes,
right?
Nothing, exactly.
Because he's on 2 years left. So by the trade deadline this year, he'll have 1.5 years left to control.
Yes.
So next year they're leveraged to trade him, especially if there's no draft pick compensation coming back in free agency. Their leverage to trade him really goes down drastically by this point next year. So,
and all of a sudden the offers aren't near as high, 100%.
Not for a 1 year rental. Not for a 1 year rental, especially if it's a 1 year rental that doesn't even have the upside of a compensation pick.
Qualifying offer, yeah.
Right? So I think that is a big factor. I think if you're a Jays fan who wants Jose Ramirez, you should be rooting for an international draft. And I think there's other reasons you should be in favor of an international draft, but we can get into that another time. But yes. I do think on the Jose Ramirez front, an international draft, agreeing to that bodes well for the Jays. And the deadline for that is right before the trade deadline. So I expect to see that to be a factor.
Anything else to add, or should we move on from Jose?
No, we got a lot to get to still, and we're already at the 30-minute mark. So let's keep blasting.
Okay, let's get into George Springer for a real quick second here, because it was reported yesterday that George Springer is taking a lot of live ABs and is gearing up right now. He prefers to take live batting practice to get into shape and to get his swing going. He isn't, however, going to be playing a lot of spring training games. And this is just, I know when this came out, there was a lot of panic amongst Blue Jays fans of, oh no, what's wrong with Springer? Is he injured again? What's going on? Why are they already decreasing his workload? And honestly, I think everyone's blowing this a little out of proportion. We've been snake bit by George Springer's injuries in the past, and so we're a little tentative. However, I think George just is at an age and a point in his career where he knows what he has to do to get ready for opening day, and I think we just need to trust that.
He's Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice. I love it.
And I truly feel that way. Like, I all this panic is for nothing. Honestly, chill out, everybody. George Springer is going to be fine. He has stated he's in great health. All of the reports say he looks good and he's not laboring out there. I think this is very similar to, to put it in Toronto fan speak, Kawhi Leonard with the Raptors and
like
what is it again?
management.
Load management. Right, that's the word I'm looking for. Load management.
It's a thing, and hey, you know what? I hate to say this, but this is an argument for a shortened season. I mean, take it for what it is, but that's the argument for 140 games as opposed to 162 or whatever the case may be, right? 5 games a week instead of 6. I don't know. It might just be the way of the future. Like, this might be the 30 years from now, we're just looking back and going, yeah, guys never played more than 140 games anyways. So,
And I mean, to look inward right now at a 162 game season, I think it is important for everyone to realize how much more important George Springer is in game 140 than he is in game 2 of spring training, obviously.
Big time. 30 doubleheaders this year. It is going to be a lot of baseball. I know we only, I think, pushed the season back 1 week, but baseball was already a very tight schedule. Right? So it's going to be a lot. If I had to ask you right now, Scott, George Springer, if the Blue Jays want him in the batting order 150 plus times this year, how many games does he play at center field, and how many times do we see him just dressing up as a DH? Is it 20 games at DH?
I think he plays 100 games at center field.
50 at DH?
I think so.
Okay. That's
we'll
not a number I was hoping to
happens.
hear. That's a lot lower than I would have liked to hear, but I think maybe you might be right. I mean, it's better than pushing him for 130 at center field and then having him miss some time, right? So if 50 games at DH keeps him healthy, you might be right there.
This is a playoff team. We need George Springer in center field 100% of the games in the playoffs. And to do that, I think he needs to play about 2/3 of the games in center field throughout the season.
Well, we got Grichuk, right? So
yeah, and Grichuk is very serviceable is the word in center field. He is going to be a league average center fielder, and that is just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then, I mean, you get creative with the days you do that, right? And you do it against the Orioles, and you do it against the Pirates, right? And then you get George in there against the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Rays. So, I mean,
exactly. Massage when he is playing, and I'm all for it. Okay, I want to talk Marcus Stroman real quick here, because if there's anyone who is looking like a bitter child after this offseason, it is for sure Marcus Stroman. Marcus tweeted last year and then deleted the post that he felt. And it just looked like sour grapes, honestly, at the time, and now it's really proving like it was just a personal grudge against this front office. But he tweeted out that front office will never build the team they should around their unbelievable core of young players. It is a travesty. Now, it has been 14 months since that tweet, and in that time, they have signed George Springer, Kevin Gausman, traded for Jose Barrios, re-upped him on his contract, traded for Matt Chapman, signed Yimi Garcia, signed Kikuchi, and are still hunting down Jose Ramirez, according to numerous reports. So, turns out that...
to add to that list, Robbie Ray, Cy Young winner, and Marcus Semien also, I mean, no longer with the team, but they did get added. So...
Turns out they just didn't want to build around you, Marcus. We'll move on from there, but I did want to bring it up because it does make me laugh looking back. Even when he tweeted that, I was like, oh, I hope Marcus isn't right. And boy, was he wrong, and I am thrilled. So let's talk the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, Freddie Freeman finally made his decision, going to L.A., heading west, 6 years, $160 million. What a contract for a 32-year-old first baseman.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of years, especially for the Dodgers. He'll retire a Dodger, so that's cool. He's from LA, or he's from California at least. So
he is heading home. So with the addition of Freeman, pundits around the league are coming out of the woodwork, including Jeff Passan, the king of baseball news, stating that it is the scariest, most dominant offensive lineup they've ever seen in MLB history, which, Adam, cracks me up a little because last year the Dodgers ended their season looking exactly the same, but Corey Seager instead of Freddie Freeman. So the Dodgers have just always been deadly. Like, I don't see this as a huge improvement from 2021.
Yeah,
I don't know how you feel about it. Listen, I'm not even taking anything away from this lineup. It is a scary-ass lineup.
Yeah.
But is it better than last year's? I don't know.
I mean, they added a World Series MVP for what it's worth. But
yeah.
No, I think, all things considered, would you rather have Seager than Freeman? I kind of would.
I think I would too, but I don't know. Both good lefty bats, I'll tell you that.
I mean,
this is kind of a fun little thing. This is kind of a fun little thing that I found online. Okay, so 2018, the Dodgers lost the World Series to the Red Sox, and then they went out and grabbed Mookie Betts the next year.
That's hilarious.
2019, they lost the NLCS to the Nationals, and then they went out and got Trey Turner and Max Scherzer the next year. 2021, lose the NLCS to the Braves, and then they go get Freddie Freeman. So don't you let the Dodgers lose to you, or they will go take your best player the next year.
Yeah, well, we better not beat them heading into Vladdy's free agency year, or else we'll know who their next first baseman's going to be. Real talk, though, while we're on the topic of Dodgers, can we talk Trevor Bauer? I know nobody wants to talk about Trevor Bauer now, but, I mean, question marks abound there. Is he going to return with the Dodgers? His administrative leave was just extended by another, I guess, a week. They're
another week.
Kicking it down the road while they're figuring out what to do with him. Obviously, the criminal and civil suits are all dropped, but there is still behavioral issues that are a concern for Major League Baseball. What kind of discipline action does he continue to get? It doesn't seem like he fit in with that Dodgers clubhouse. Do you think he comes back with the Dodgers? How does signing Freddie Freeman impact that? Do you think that is does it just balance the scales? Like, hey, we got the anti-Trevor Bauer and, like, just the ultimate clubhouse guy that everyone is going to love and is just squeaky clean. Do you think that is a way of, like, hey, look, we got a nice guy. Now can we have this asshole back? Like, I don't know.
I do not envy the Los Angeles Dodgers front office with this decision. It is
they still have to pay him.
Lose-lose. They still have to pay him. It's a rock and a hard place. And he is a good pitcher. However, just scum of the earth, really. Like, I don't know what you do, and I don't know what MLB is going to do. And the legal ramifications of this, too, could be interesting to watch happen if they do decide to try and crack down and they do decide to not allow Bauer to play. Mm-hmm. Does he have grounds for a lawsuit against MLB. Like, this is a real legit question to ask. Yeah. So I don't wish to get too much into this Trevor Bauer stuff. I think that updating that his administrative leave has been kicked down the road to April 16th is where we'll end this. I don't know how they're going to go about doing it. I don't particularly wish to see Trevor Bauer back in Major League Baseball at all.
No, I don't
know how they avoid it.
But they're on the hook for another 30 plus
They're on the hook for $45 million this year. Yeah. Okay, we've got two more things to touch on here before we call this a cast. Chris Bryant, 7-year, $182 million deal with, of all teams, the Colorado Rockies. And man, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this thing. And I did wish to throw this to you because you sent me a screenshot of a text from your brother that just nailed this beautifully. If you want to kind of give your little spiel here.
So from my brother Jeremy, all credit goes to him, the math teacher. Bill Simmons has cousin Sal. We have Uncle Jer. So he highlighted that Chris Bryant 1 year younger than Arenado. Arenado $30.5 million until 2028. Bryant only $26 million until 2029. But the Rockies paid the Cardinals $50 million to take Arenado. So a little more than $7 million a year over the life of the contract, right? So if you add that to Bryant's $26 million, instead of paying $30.5 million on third base, which they would have paid just by staying put with Arenado, they're actually spending $33 million a year on third base between the $7 million they're giving the Cardinals for Arenado and the $26 million that they're giving Bryant. So pretty absurd.
It's very absurd. And listen, I'm aware there might even be a Rocky fan or two who are watching this right now and they're like, it was different GMs. And I'm aware, obviously, different general manager at this point. It is good to see Colorado going in on a free agent like this. Yeah. It makes you feel like they're not just trying to tank anymore, which is nice. Mm-hmm. However, weird.
Yeah,
like even from weird. An ownership standpoint, it's weird. Like Arenado, homegrown talent right there in Colorado, came up through the system, had every fan just in love with the dude. There were our Arenado jerseys all over Colorado. And then to watch them pay St. Louis to take their best player and then to go all in on another superstar third baseman, it doesn't make any sense. And listen, I know it's come out. It looks like Bryant's going to be playing most of his time in left field, which is an interesting little nugget there.
It's an expensive left fielder.
Isn't he an expensive left fielder? I don't get it. We'll move on unless you have something else to add.
Nope,
but the breakdown of money is weird to see that they're literally paying Bryant more than they would have Arenado.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Very weird. Very weird.
So we will touch really briefly. Trevor Story, Carlos Correa sweepstakes still up in the air.
Yep.
A lot of cans being kicked on those two. Still, honestly, a real question mark as to where either of those two land.
Well, Correa's going to the Orioles. I mean, we joked about that last week on the podcast, but all of a sudden the Orioles have come out $330 million over 10 years they've offered him. Is what I've been hearing. So I want to just give myself a pat on the back. Even if he doesn't sign with the Orioles, the fact that they're in on him, like with a legitimate offer, I feel like I won.
What about this nickname for you? Adam Nostradamus.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, I hate it. So let's drop that one. But I hate it.
I love that you 1 week before all of these rumors came out, though, floated this idea, and now they actually made an offer for $300 million. It's not even a minor offer. Like they really got into the
full
negotiations
years, full
here.
value. Yeah, absolutely. So.
Okay, now before we wrap this up, I do want to talk Joey Gallo really quickly. Okay. Listen, I have been very clear I'm not a Joey Gallo fan. I'm aware for bias reasons. Listen, he's a Yankee, and look at his fat face. I just can't stand him. I don't like him. When he came out and was like, we should ban the shift, I just right away I'm like, great. So you want to be legislated into a great player. That's fantastic. Everyone else can make adjustments at the plate, but you can't. So, and listen, I know this is an incredibly biased take. I'm well aware that Joey Gallo defensively is incredible. I'm well aware he has a lot of power, and because he's a lefty, everybody just wants to line up to shake his hand and tell him how great he is. I also don't understand why Gen Zers would take a bullet for this, man. I've never... So, there was a guy on with the Yankees who... just a broadcaster. I should look it up, but I forget. He tweeted basically comparing Matt Chapman and Joey Gallo. And he was just kind of like, why is everyone so high on Matt Chapman, but everyone says that Joey Gallo sucks when comparing Yankee Stadium to Oakland Coliseum is a pretty ridiculous exercise of the mind anyways. And I literally jokingly said Joey Gallo sucks on the tweet. Man, I've never got so much hate mail in my friggin' life. Like, literally, these are some DMs I got. I got, hey, you fucking old shit. Joey Gallo is a king and better at baseball than you are at anything in life. Just
wow.
Like, okay.
That's hard.
I was tweeted at, and it was like, so one guy was like, I can't believe you have a baseball podcast and have the balls to say Joey Gallo sucks. And then under it, another guy was like, because he's just another middle-aged white dude who never played the game and thinks his opinion means something. Because obviously, Adam, if I was black and 20 and played college baseball, I would love Joey Gallo. That's how it works, right?
Yes.
I don't understand. And it's all Gen Zers. It's all these young kids that are like, you stupid old piece of shit.
That's great. Oh, man.
Anyways, so if there are Gen Zers out there, if you can explain to me why Joey Gallo is the king of your generation, obviously, I would love to hear it in the comments. And I am being very upfront with saying that, yeah, if he wasn't wearing pinstripes, I probably would not have this hatred for Joey Gallo. But I can't help it. You put on a Yankee uniform, and I automatically am not going to like you.
Hey, one of the all-time favorite Blue Jays, bringer of rain, Josh Donaldson, we can no longer support him in anything he does. For the next 3 years, hatred for Josh Donaldson.
And I'm all for Blue Jays fans who can set that aside, who can compartmentalize it and still enjoy him. But I can't. I can't. He's a Yankee.
Look, man, if you have a Josh Donaldson Toronto Blue Jays jersey that you spent any dollars on, or you got as a gift, or you found in a closet of an old roommate who moved out, well, however you came into possession of a Josh Donaldson jersey, if you want to wear it, I would not begrudge you. I would not spit on you. I would say, hey, nice Josh Donaldson jersey, as a matter of fact. But I don't want to hear any like, oh, look how good he's doing in New York. Or when we play the Yankees, well, I hope Josh Donaldson has a good game. I draw the line there.
No.
We're not. Yeah. No, it's it. But if you have a Josh Donaldson jersey or a shirt or whatever, feel free to continue to wear it in support of the Jays, not in support of Josh Donaldson.
Exactly. Love it. Great take. All right, Adam, thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking ball with you, my man. A big thank you to all of you listening and watching on YouTube. Please hit subscribe and like if you enjoyed this. And we are going to do Long Toss on Monday instead of Sunday. Just a heads up, that will be live 6 East to 8 East. And Mailbag Tuesday.
It was just a complicated travel day for us on Sunday both.
Yeah.
And from a technical standpoint, not feasible. So we're doing it Monday.
Exactly. Doing it Monday. Mailbag Tuesday. Releasing Samad Taylor's interview next week, probably Wednesday or Thursday. And then back to everything's regular scheduled after that. So thank you so much again, everybody. All the best. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Cheers.